Hello, everyone, and welcome to the KeenGamer podcast, episode 130, where we're going to be discussing our hopes for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and some of the pitfalls, should say, that we hope that they are not going to do. You can skip to the timestamps below if you want to get to that, but as always, we're going to talk about the games we've been playing first and the biggest news stories of the week. And helping me cover it this week is Noah Rosenfeld. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jess?
I'm very blue today, bluey green if you're watching the video version, and a little bit shaky, so I apologize for that, but this is the only room I could record in. Marc. We have Marc Keever.
Hi.
I actually haven't done a podcast with you, Marc, in about 6 months.
Wow, has it been that long?
I believe so, yeah.
Doesn't
How you
feel that
doing?
long, but I'm good. Very happy to be back. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. Always happy to talk about Pokemon with you too.
Yeah, I'm
And
very excited.
yeah. Again, that's the main topic. So if you're not a Pokemon fan, that's fine. We've still got all the biggest news and what we've been playing. But if you are, we are going to do basically a deep dive into what we know about Scarlet and Violet so far, and again, our hopes and what we hope they do not do this time in Gen 9. So to start, we're going to do the games we've been playing, and I will start us off with 2 Point Campus, which, are any of you aware of this, or 2 Point Hospital before it?
I'm not.
I've heard of the games.
It's
but haven't
basically,
played.
I don't know if it's a spiritual success. Well, 2 Point Campus, no, I always get these mixed up. 2 Point Hospital was a spiritual successor to Theme Hospital. It was, I played it on the PlayStation 1 anyway. I think it was on the PC as well. It was like a simulation kind of roller coaster tycoon type thing, only you were making hospitals and trying to cure patients. Very like Sims, like only on a grander scale. And I played a little bit of 2 Point Hospital, but not a lot because I loved Theme Hospital when I was younger. It was one of those ones where you could they had like really dumb things. They weren't real illnesses or anything. It was a very quirky, silly humor. The same thing was with, again, 2 Point Hospital, and 2 Point Campus is taking it to like university and college campuses. And there's a campaign mode where you are trying to get stars for how well your campus is performing. So like a bit Simsy, where you have to keep your students happy, keep their grades up, earn money. But they also have like a customization option now, where you can customize your campus to look like the way that you want. You can't unlock sandbox mode until you get a 1-star in the first 4 levels, which is a little annoying. Because I know like my little niece loves these types of games. Anything where she can basically cause torture to small digital characters, she will jump on. But we're struggling to try and get her to get the stars first so she can just go crazy with designing her perfect campus. There's not too much to say about it. It is like a really solid game, and you can lose like hours in it at a time, and that's not even going into sandbox mode and trying to make like the perfect campus and like your own design and everything. It's still got that silly humor of trying, like, the classes are, you are a night class, so you're all running around in armor. You can get what's it called, rusty bulge syndrome.
Excuse me.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
you have to cure the rusty bulge on these gyms.
That's
Yeah, and then in this night campus, you have a rival night campus, and they invade your place, and your security people have to ward them off with water guns. So it's a great game for children. Like I said, my niece really likes it. It's really funny. But it's also just a really solid, like management sim type thing. And it is on Game Pass. If anybody had it, I'm pretty sure it's on Game Pass PC because it is primarily a PC game. Like all the menus are all, those tiny ones with. It's basically a menu game where you have to select things. Yeah,
micromanagement.
exactly. Yeah, micromanagement. Although I will say it is better
Or
than.
resource management.
Yeah, well, yeah, both. It is better on consoles than 2 Point Hospital was, because they basically have the features that they added to 2 Point Hospital later on, right from launch. So cloning rooms and this new decorating thing, which I didn't really get into in the previous one. It's just a lot smoother and better tutorials, although still not incredible. But fun game if you wanted to lose some hours too, just trying to get a star in a hospital, or oh god, every time in a campus, or just going in the sandbox mode and trying to do what you want. So yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to ask if you're going to be doing any writing about the game, or if it's just something you're playing for the enjoyment because it's something you love.
Well, I probably wouldn't have had time to play this if I wasn't. I am doing guides for it.
Okay,
For
of course.
a different site. Yeah. And you don't really need a lot of guides for it, so they've not been too popular, but I am going to continue playing it whenever. Do you know when you just get a moment and you don't want to start like a story campaign, or
yeah,
you
just a
don't wanna
game
go
you can
into-
jump into and go wild and just create.
Exactly. So usually for me, that's just like Fall Guys or something. But if I don't want that, if I don't want like a live servicey type thing, I definitely jump in the 2 Point Campus. Yeah, I do recommend it if you're into that stuff, and if you want to try it out again on Game Pass, if you had access to it. But a totally different type of game, I'm pretty sure. Marc, you're playing V Rising, and I know you've done a bunch of guides for this on the site. I'd say it's very, again, management heavy. Do you want to explain like what V Rising is and what your thoughts on it are?
Well, it's an interesting game. I hadn't heard about it until Carl mentioned it to me. And he said, "Hey, do you want to write some guides for this game?" And I said, "Well, okay." I checked it out, and I love vampires, so I was like, "Wow, check it out, play it," and I must say I'm hooked. It's still in early access, so if anyone decides to get into it, you might find some issues along the way, but that's to be expected out of an early access title. I must say the developers are very involved with the community on the Discord, which is nice. So playing it in a way also helps shape the game. Because you can also interact with the devs. Yeah, go chat to them. But anyway, but more about the game. To describe it, it's a third-person open-world survival crafting game where you play as a vampire, and basically you go out there and you build your castle, and you're like a aspiring vampire lord competing against other vampires, and there's of course humans in the world as well, and that's part of, I think, where the story is going to. There's not too much story at the moment. Being early access, I'm sure there's going to be story involving Dracula, and I think the world building they've done so far is very, very good. And that's, to me, one of the most important aspects of a game. I think they're more working on mechanics and hammering out the finer details. But if you like your crafting, if you play it like, I wouldn't say Minecraft, it's not as intense as Minecraft, where you have to remember.
Is it kind of like Rust?
I can't say I really played Rust too much. If I had to describe it, I would say it's a little bit, I would say like Vampire Fortnite in a way. Like the gameplay kind of feels a bit like that, but also weirdly like League of Legends. So, but then the crafting side, I get a bit of No Man's Sky, a bit of Fortnite, a bit of Minecraft. Of course, everything's inspired by Minecraft. But overall, it's a very enjoyable game, challenging bosses, and the gameplay is fast paced. It's a fun game to play, and I definitely recommend it to anyone that enjoys vampires or crafting, especially. Yeah, it's very resource gathering heavy, and
you said you like the world building. Is it like, have they given you like RuneScape, I don't know, World of Warcraft type quests to go on, or?
Well, the way it works, that's a good question to ask, because one of the main mechanics, it revolves around hunting what they call V-blood carriers, which are essentially bosses and the way they've done it is quite interesting. Each boss has its own flavor. And some of them you'll find in a specific place. Some of them wander the map, so you might, which makes things very interesting. You might run into 2 or 3 bosses at the same time, and it becomes very chaotic. And sometimes they even fight each other. You can take advantage of the environment. Like you'll run into a boss that's fighting another random creature in the world, and you can kind of take advantage of that and beat a boss that maybe you wouldn't have been able to beat otherwise. So it's been a
That
very
sounds cool. That
interesting
sounds
game to play.
very Skyrim, Elden Ringy.
Yes, I think one of the things that might put a lot of people off is playing from the third person's perspective. But I do think it's possible that they could, I don't know, modify it to look different. There's no telling what it's going to look like when they eventually release it, but probably not too different. That's the only thing I've heard that people have said when they, recommend the game to them. But when you actually get into it, it's very nice to play.
Is this free to play, or is it just early access? You pay for it?
You have to pay for it. They could go free to play. I don't know what their plan is. It's developed by Stunlock Studios. I think what's that other game, Battle Right or something that they've got, which I could be free to play. I'm not sure. I don't have that much information, but could be. They will be selling, of course, expansions and cosmetic items and things as they do.
Do they have that in the game at the moment?
There is one founders pack that you can get, which adds some cosmetic items and I think skins. I'm not really sure what it adds, but I think we'll see more of that.
Like,
and they'll
you haven't been
definitely be
to buy
adding.
It? No.
No, not really.
That's decent. Then I'd say that's a good thing.
But what I can say about the game is I can see there's a lot of room to expand the game. They can easily add new areas, new bosses, new powers. There's some very cool powers. You can transform into a wolf to get across the map a bit faster, and then later on even into a rat and into a bear and into a freaking bat even, and fly across the landscape. It's quite cool. It's a very kind of open world experience that I would say that, like, when I think of an open world game and what I want from an open world game, V-Rising is offering the kind of experience that I want out of an open world.
Cool. Sounds very good. I'm glad I finally got to talk about V-Rising on the podcast. It's something I actually do have access. Yes, again, Marc has done a lot of guides for KeenGamer. If you need any,
plugging those again.
Yep, if you need any help with V-Rising yourself.
Yeah.
That's cool. So moving on
to
come. Noah, you've been playing, surprise, Morrowind. How's your Morrowind adventures going?
They're going pretty well. I'm still going around collecting all the one-of-a-kind weapons. I'm actually nearing the end of the list. I just got a Storm Kiss, which is it's a Nordic axe that you get from an underground tomb. That there's this dude who was buried underground in his boat somehow, like in this little underground cavern. And so you have to go down there and take his stuff. So I took his stuff.
As you do.
So Morrowind can be frustrating, but I'm kind of a bit past that now. And I'm kind of just I'm going through brief adventures because I want to have these weapons going into the quests. Like I want to get a lot of use out of them.
What's the frustrating part? Is it the combat?
Yeah, I was also wanted to ask.
So I was talking about it last week. It's just an ancient game, like ancient leveling systems, all that old class stuff. So I spent a weekends just kind of maxing my character. It's really pretty easy to do in Morrowind. It's Oblivion, where I've talked about before. It's a nightmare. It took I could probably max an Oblivion character in like 3 weeks, but Morrowind I can do in a weekend. So so I'm past that. I'm past the vampire stuff. Being a vampire in Morrowind is tedious because you only get one. You only get one shot at it, and there's certain quests that you only do as a vampire. So you kind of have to get it out of the way early because they won't all work unless you do it early. So
have you liked any of the vampire stuff in any of the Elder Scrolls things? Because I told you about my story about having vampires in Oblivion, and I ruined my game. Like I can't play the game because it ends in sunlight, and I die. So like, have they ever supported those systems properly?
Yeah, so yeah, common issue in Skyrim. This happened to me long before I was a Skyrim master. Is a lot of times people will get infected with vampirism and not realize it, and it will progress like for a few days until it is like you're all the way a vampire. Then random citizens will just start attacking you. So like a lot of people have this problem, like, and they don't know what's causing it. They're like, why are these people attacking me? I have no bounty. I can't figure what's wrong, and it's that you're a vampire. You got vampirism, and you didn't realize it until it was too late. And somehow my game that had this glitch where like there is an option to cure yourself. That like there's this dude who's supposed to help you do it if it gets to the point where you can't play the game. But somehow for me, that guy attacked me too.
Oh wow.
Like, yeah, like I couldn't speak to him because he saw me as a hostile. So I lost like weeks of gameplay because I was a vampire. So
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, rip.
yeah, so
You lost
yeah,
weeks of gameplay. I can't go back to my Oblivion save.
Also wanted to
yeah.
just ask, are you using any like texture packs or anything with the Morrowind? I know there was quite a nice one when, yeah.
So I
Just make it look
actually
better or-
yeah, I play
Playing
Morrowind on
vanilla.
console is the thing. So
Oh, okay, so it's vanilla. Like,
yeah, I can't just
Okay.
go in and mod it. I'm trying to get my
Okay.
hands on the PC through PC giveaways, but as of yet, I'm not lucked out.
I had a copy of Morrowind, but I could never get it to work on my Xbox 360.
Really?
Oh, really?
I might still have it somewhere, actually. I don't know. But anyway, I did play it on PC though, so I know about the texture pack.
Yeah, when it comes to the old school Bethesda games, like that's really why I want the PC because I'm just gonna mod my way around the tedious early stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I think it's really I'd really be interested to see what you
Yeah.
do with the PC and just
right.
some mods.
Yeah, like even the modern games like Skyrim and Fallout 4, like I vast majority of the time will just mod my way around the leveling system because that's not what I play for. I play for the content, so I just get that out of the way so I don't have to think about it ever again.
Oh, okay. I get
Yeah.
you. You play for the story and
Yeah.
not so much the tedium.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of Bethesda stuff summed up.
Yeah.
Story and
Pretty
tedium.
much.
But sometimes the tedium can be good because I don't know if I've talked about it on the podcast before. I got like obsessed with the crafting in Skyrim.
Like when
and,
you
like,
get
you know,
really into something, yeah.
yeah, like you're like, yes, it is tedious, but like I'm spending 4 hours on
love
this a
it.
day. Like, why?
Yeah, I'm kind of getting the same thing from V Rising. I just
Mm.
put my headphones on, put on some music, and just gather resources, and then just mindless tedium. It's nice.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I guess with Bethesda stuff as well. And what sounds like in V Rising, you have the story stuff as a counterpoint to that. So yeah, as
I don't
Mark
think there's much there, but
O'Callaghan
yeah.
would
Anyway.
say, it's like good podcasting stuff. You know, stick it on, get some resources. What were you saying about V Rising there? Sorry, Mark.
I don't remember.
Okay, no problem.
Couldn't have been very important.
Anything else about Morrowind, Noah? What's your plan with this one? You want to like get all this stuff out of the way so you can just blast for the story or the quests?
Yeah, I'm the main choice you make in Morrowind is what house to join. Like that's really how you define your character in that game. So I'm doing House Redoran this time around. It's like the warrior class, and they have this emphasis on being tough. So I'm kind of making my guy tough. I named him Dralsif Tiranov, which really works as a nice Dunmer name. I'm pretty good with my names, especially in Elder Scrolls. Honestly, if you said to a player which of these names is real and one of them was mine, they probably would be like, I bet that's a real name.
It sounds very George R. R. Martin.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I do remember one of your Skyrim characters vaguely. It was quite.
What was your Skyrim one, Noah?
What was her name?
Oh, are you talking about?
You might mean Fallout.
Maybe it was Fallout.
Yeah,
Ruby
you might
Red
mean
Fox.
Ruby.
Yeah.
Ruby.
Oh,
Red
Ruby.
Fox,
Yes, it was Ruby.
Yeah.
Ruby Red Fox. Yes.
Yeah, well,
How did you get
that was
Ruby?
Fallout.
Yeah, Fallout's easier because they are real names. Really with Fallout, what I do is I just make sure that the name hasn't been used already, because I don't want to share a name with an NPC. But yeah, when it comes to Elder Scrolls, there's the let's see UESP wiki that has some helpful resources for the individual cultured names. So I tend to draw some reference from that and kind of personalize it a bit more, because it changes throughout each game. Like in Skyrim, they kind of lost some of the prefixes, but yeah, you end up just kind of figuring it out based on real names and what it says in there.
And your experience, of course.
Yeah.
Your vast experience. Yeah.
Vast experience.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, that's Noah and Morrowind. No doubt he will be on again to talk about his adventures in the future. And the last game we're going to talk about is, I can't remember what the last word of this is. Is it Counter-Strike Global Offense?
Offensive. Close enough.
Close.
Yeah.
Take it away, Marc.
Yeah, so Counter-Strike, what can you really say about it? There was a bit of an interesting thing that happened the last week, and I found it very fun, actually. Valve updated they did something to the ranking system, and it's created all kinds of chaos in matchmaking. It's quite delightful, actually. It's upset a lot of people, of course. A lot of people work very hard to get to your upper ranks, which are your global elites, your supremes, and some of them felt like, even myself, I was like up at like Legendary Eagle, and I logged in the next morning to find my rank had been taken away. And that normally happens when you've been playing with like a hacker and they've been banned. And like, you don't always know you've been playing with a hacker. Like, some people are very discreet about it. But anyway, so everyone kind of logged in. Oh no, like our ranks are all gone. And some of us found ourselves right back at the bottom ranks, and it's been chaos, because you end up in games with like real noobs, and not that there's anything wrong with being a noob. We all started there, but yeah, it's a bit frustrating, especially like for the more experienced players when they end up in these kinds of games. It's not challenging or fulfilling, but it's slowly working itself out, I think. It's just been the player reaction to it has been very interesting. In a way, also, I feel like it's been very beneficial for the community, at least where I am. Because a lot of people, like, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, people don't care that much about ranks anymore. So they just play the game for enjoyment, and it's actually made it a lot more pleasant to play. And that's all I really want to say about that. What else can you say about Counter-Strike?
How did they what did they change in the rankings? Did they just reset like everyone?
That's I don't know what they did. Nobody really knows exactly how they work out the ranks. Well, maybe somebody does, but they're very secretive about
I hope
exactly
the person that's doing it, they know.
Yeah. So they must have. I don't know exactly what they did. No, it's hard to say. But everyone just found themselves with new ranks. Some people retained theirs, but a lot of people didn't, and a lot of people are upset. A lot of people don't care. It's just all very interesting.
Yeah.
When things like this happen to a community. Thankfully, it's not something that happens very often.
Yeah. How old is Counter-Strike now?
Well.
Yeah. Well old. Let me have a quick look. Have they had like many big shakeups like this?
Maybe not with the ranking system, I don't think, but there have been things. Every so often they'll push a update, and what normally happens is you'll find a lot of the hackers and will come out and try and test the new system, like see if anything's changed, if they can manipulate it, or because of course there's a lot of money in selling these hacks and things. It's quite interesting. But yeah, that's normally what happens. They don't normally mess with the ranking system. So, and I think the way they did it was quite clever, because they just pushed it. They didn't really make a fuss about it. They just said, "Here you go. Here's an update." Everyone just logged in, like, "Okay, this has happened."
Yeah, like no
you can't say
communication
anything. I think it
beforehand.
would have
Yeah.
been very controversial. They would have. So they just kind of got it over with, and people are like over it already. So it's cool.
Yeah, this Counter-Strike Global Offensive has been out since 2012, so 10 years.
Yeah, it's been out a long time. Yeah, it has been 10 years. And it's still
Yeah.
going strong.
Mhm.
Still very
Definitely.
competitive. Great game. I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I'll stop playing it for a while and then get back into it. I've really been enjoying it this last week, especially because of the community kind of changing a little bit in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot more social, a lot more people are less likely to sweat you for making mistakes in game and stuff. Where you still get your toxic players like you do in
Yeah.
any competitive game, but yeah, overall, I think it's been a positive thing for the community.
Okay, awesome. Well, that was Counter-Strike, which again, another new game for the podcast. So thank you, Mark, for bringing two of
Right.
them to us. And we are going to move on to the news. And the biggest thing from this week probably was the Splatoon 3 Nintendo Direct. And just very quickly, cliff notes of what happened in the Direct was they announced a photo mode, which I think is new. Excuse me if it's not. I'm not a huge Splatoon fan. They had the usual new techniques, new abilities. There's going to be new stages, weapons, special weapons. Like they really went into the details of this. And there was some amiibo news. They're bringing out new amiibos. Amiibos are not dead; they are still here. They will still cost you an extortionate amount in the future. And we have, yeah, interesting. I thought this. They're doing I believe it's a Splatfest. It's happening 2 weeks ahead of Splatoon 3's launch. So you can download the demo and take part in it before Splatoon 3 comes out, which I think is really clever. It's like, here, you can take part in the Splatfest in the demo and maybe buy the game. They are adding save data backup, which seems like just standard stuff, but it is Nintendo again, so this is good stuff. Keywords for matching with friends. You can have a 3-player turf war now. I believe it was just 2 before. And what other big things do we have here? Though they're gonna have in-game achievements. Mark, I know you said you played a little bit of Splatoon 2. Is that new?
Yeah, well, generally, most Nintendo games haven't had achievements, and yeah, they didn't have anything like that in Splatoon 2, to my knowledge. I did play quite a bit of it, actually. Yeah, but
Yeah, it says here Splatoon 3 will have a basic achievement system, which will allow you to earn catalog points to spend on Hotlantis's customization options, so like cosmetic stuff, which sounds decent.
well, there was a currency system in Splatoon 2, so it sounds, I don't know, just another way of doing it. Like,
yeah, shuffling it around.
yeah, yeah.
What did you think about this new minigame, Table Turf Battle? It's a card minigame, 1v1. Is this standard for Splatoon? Do they have minigames often?
No, I don't remember them having many games in there. They may have. I don't. It looks a bit like Tetris or something. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this tabletop battle.
Yeah,
I
like
haven't
just a
really.
little mini game inside the game. Although I suppose they have like their waiting lobbies, which
To
here
me,
it says. No, yeah, go
that's
ahead.
not really a selling point on a game for me. I mean, don't tell me about the mini games. I'll figure those out when I get the game. Tell me why. Don't tell me a
Yeah.
game with the mini game. I'm not buying the game to play the mini games. That's
Well, yeah,
like
they could
that's a
have.
nice bonus. Like if you find a cool mini game, but
Yeah, yeah, it's not going to
it's not
sell
really
you on the
good.
game exactly. Yeah. And you will get rewards for the Splatoon 2 players, which they
Oh
announced.
wow, yay! Well, that gives
Yeah,
me a little bit of motivation to consider the game. I
let's
did
see. What do
really
you
enjoy Splatoon, so
Splatoon 2,
I'm
you
not
said you
sold.
play? Yeah, I don't think there
Yeah.
was anything more here. There will be DLC, paid DLC in the future, and there will be post-launch updates, including like this 3-month cycle of like locker things you can buy, but it's all in game, like it's not microtransactions. So yeah, I think me and Noah aren't really Splatoon fans, but you have played Splatoon 2. What do you think about this? Like any motivation? Like you just said that maybe that would motivate you. Did you
Well,
enjoy
look,
Splatoon 2?
the more I think about Splatoon, at first when I heard about Splatoon 3, I thought another Splatoon. But then the more I look at it, I remember how great Splatoon 2 was, like at its peak. The Splatfests were always a great time. It was always interesting to see the way the players interacted because they had those little you could draw little pictures to support your. Like it would be silly things like, do you prefer butter on your popcorn or salt, or sweet versus spicy? And it was quite fun, that silly Nintendo quirky fun, and it's very urban feel to it, which was quite cool. But yeah, it's nice to see that they continuing the franchise, and I'm sure as Nintendo does, they will deliver a very high quality game, and I think fans of the game will be delighted. It was is still a very fun game to play, and it's quite different.
Yeah, like it was the whole. Oh, look, Nintendo does have a new franchise. I played the demos myself. Couldn't really get into it, but again, I can see the appeal of it. It's got that quirky Nintendo humor, and it looks like they're improving some online capability stuff, which we'll talk about
it does look
later
like
on
it,
with Pokemon. But yeah,
of course.
they're taking baby steps towards this online stuff. Noah, any interest in Splatoon 3? Would you ever get a Splatoon game?
I'm not sure. I like the idea of like mini games for it. Like I thought it was just like randomly like painting stuff with that spray, but like if there's more to it than that, then maybe I'm just thinking like how much can you really do with that? I feel like it's gonna like it becomes like a Mario Party like at some point, but then but more limited in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
in
I
a way.
guess.
Yeah.
Was there many modes in Splatoon 2, Marc?
Yeah.
There were a few, and they did keep things fresh. They constantly rotating maps in and out, and to be honest, the gameplay was very fun. And they were trying to. It was this weird thing where they were trying to be competitive, but it's also very. I guess like Smash. I mean, Smash has been around for a lot longer, so it's established. But you got this cartoony game that's trying to have like a competitive feel to it, which it does. But I don't know. I can't imagine playing. It's like Pokemon Unite in a way, where I can't imagine myself playing it competitively like I would League of Legends. But it's a fun little MOBA to play, just like I would say Splatoon 3 or Splatoon 2. Splatoon in general is like if you like a first-person shooter, if you just have that itch, but you don't want to take it too seriously, like playing Counter-Strike or whatever. Yeah, it's a nice game to play.
Very much on Nintendo's brand. Yeah. Definitely. So that was pretty much it for Splatoon 3. The next, it's not so good news if you are particularly a Marvel fan or a Firaxis fan. Marvel's Midnight Suns is delayed again to the end of the fiscal year. So that would be the end of March. So we don't know whether it's coming out this year or next year. So this is an article from IGN. It was they were trying to explain it during Take-Two's earnings results, but they didn't really say a lot of stuff. They basically just confirmed later this fiscal year. And also they're not releasing the old gen, so PS4, Xbox One, and Switch at the same time as PC, PS5, and Series X/X players. So if you have an older console, you will have to wait even longer until it comes out, which honestly for Switch isn't really like that just seems to be happening to like every game at the moment. It just seems to be not where the developers' priorities is, but PS4 and Xbox One was a tiny bit surprising to me. But I suppose by that time there will be more Xbox Series X's and PS5s out there in the wild. So the one thing I wanted to say about this was the main takeaway was I was kind of looking forward to this. I'm a Marvel fan and I liked XCOM. Wasn't like super into it, but it's definitely very well developed. So in Firaxis' hand, that's cool. And the Marvel thing made me more interested in it. But if this comes out Q1 2023, I think I might actually die. There are quite a lot of big video games coming out in Q1 2023 or rumored to come out in Q1 2023. So as a guides writer, I'm pretty scared. Do you guys think that we will even get this in 2023 or the other games, or do you think they're going to get delayed? What's your thoughts, Noah?
Yeah, well, like to me that first quarter sounds about right if it's being talked about like this now. So I have the same thought, like that's shaping up to be so huge. You've got Starfield, possibly this game. What else? Let's name a few.
Possibly Jedi Fallen Order.
Right,
I
yeah, that
think
one.
possibly Breath of the Wild.
Yeah,
We'll
Oh
have
yeah,
Dead
that as
Space.
well.
Yeah, like a Starfield release there. I feel like it would be a
Starfield's
Yeah.
gonna
death
dominate.
sentence. And there's stuff we're even forgetting about, like, you know, some
Yeah,
like the
the-
AAA stuff.
yeah, it's gonna be unprecedented, like the biggest post holiday quarter that they've had. I mean, the industry's had for a very long time. It's gonna be a strange time, but
you know,
yeah,
we
well,
thought this year's Q1 was bad. Whew.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Let me
time
see.
for expansion.
Exactly. And this is coming
Yeah.
off what was it called? Lord of the Rings Gollum getting delayed by a few months. So it might sneak into Q1 2023 as well, which is again like sort of like
Wow.
double A
Well,
stuff. What's your thoughts, Mark?
Well, games getting delayed these days isn't really a big surprise. But it
Yeah.
is a bit strange that they have now put it Q1 with all the when there's so many other big games coming out around that time. I'm not. Well, I like Marvel. I haven't been a fan of what they've been doing lately, but when you said XCOM, we haven't had a new XCOM game. Well, we had Chimera Squad. I love XCOM. XCOM. So yeah, I would maybe be keen on it for lack of a XCOM game, but I'm not really bummed about it getting delayed. I didn't really even care about it until you mentioned XCOM.
Yeah, I feel like it's the opposite for you. Like I'm okay with
Yeah.
XCOM, but I really like the comic book game. So I'm like, oh, I'll
Yeah,
play
you
it for
do.
that. And you're like, no, I really like XCOM type games.
Mm.
But I think it's the same though. I don't think anyone is extremely hyped for this. So maybe
Everyone's
unless
just
you are
whatever.
a huge Marvel and XCOM fan. But yeah, it was one of the smaller ones that got delayed. Yet another one. It feels like every week we have this game has been delayed in one of our stories. Yeah, so God help us all when Q1 2023 hits. Moving on to our next news story, we have more positive news. Alone in the Dark is getting a reimagining, aka a remake, but they're basically just trying to get away with changing things. So, like, yeah, this is a reimagining. So, this is Matt Wales at Eurogamer. So, THQ Nordic is reimagining Alone in the Dark with Soma and Amnesia, the Dark Descent writer Mikael Hedberg at the helm. So the original release in 1992, and me and Mark were talking about this before. It's like, you know, it is survival horror. It was there before Resident Evil, before Silent Hill. Fondly remembered by horror and survival horror fans. And I believe the last proper big game was the Xbox 360 PS3 one, where they just called it Alone in the Dark. And for me, that's the only Alone in the Dark I've ever played, and I didn't mind it, but I'm pretty sure it killed the franchise. Like it didn't do well for them. But this is being handled by Swedish developer Pieces Interactive, and it takes the basic premise of the '92 original, in which private detective Edward Carnby helps Emily Hartwood investigate her uncle's suicide at the gloomy Derkedo mansion, and shakes it up a little for modern audiences. And it is the developer have said this is psychological horror, so survival horror, psychological horror. It's interesting. The writers as well. Not two games that I would say for me personally have had incredible writing, but then again, horror games I don't really go in for their writing. Like Resident Evil does not have good writing for me.
No.
But they're incredible games. So, yeah, third person action very much seems Resident Evil inspired. Like two protagonists that you get to choose at the beginning, and you have slightly different story options for each one. And you're going into this like creepy Louisiana mansion place. So, Mark, you want to start with you? How are you feeling about this? Are you excited for this?
I think it's great news. It's like you said, an iconic horror franchise in video gaming, and it has been around as longer than your Resident Evils. And I definitely think that 360 game killed the franchise.
Yeah.
It was not well received at all. I remember it being, but gamers can be very fickle. Maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. It's like another Chrono Cross, I guess, where people like hated on it, they didn't buy it, and now it's like, wait, why don't we have another Chrono game? So it's always good to see an old franchise like that getting love. I just hope they will handle it with the respect it deserves. I'm sure they will. Soma and what was it? Amnesia.
Amnesia, yeah.
Yeah, those games are excellent visually, and I personally think nothing to write home about in terms of writing, but they were scary.
Yeah,
And
that's what
the
you
main
want.
thing.
Yeah.
That's exactly. So I didn't know about those writers being involved. So now that you've mentioned that, that actually makes me quite excited about a new Alone in the Dark. Even if it's just a
should say, I
rehashing.
think this is a little bit off. Development has been since 2019, so 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And sorry, I forgot to mention it will be released on PS5, Xbox Series X, S, and PC. So no old gen stuff. But yeah, I'd say we're a couple of years out of it.
Well, I do think sometimes it would be better to just get a cool new horror game, but yeah.
Saying that, I saw a tweet the other day, and I like how much horror like content we're getting in like the next year. Like Callisto Protocol, Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake.
That's a lot of remakes already.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah. There was that one, worst name ever, but Slitterhead by the guy who worked on Silent Hill.
Oh yes, that's like yeah.
It literally pains me to say that word, but yes, that is coming out.
It is quite bad.
We're getting what's that game coming in October? Oh, hopefully, Scorn's coming out in October as well. We're getting the new Dark Pictures anthology game. I think The Devil Inside Me. I think this one's called. Just a lot of horror, and I've forgotten about some there as well.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah. This is just another. It feels like people are appreciating it for the first time. So as a horror fan, it's great because you kind of have to go to like sort of indie stuff if it's not Resident Evil. You know, there's not too many huge horror franchises. I take it this isn't one that's on your radar, though, Noah. I think we've talked about you not really playing horror games before.
Yeah, this wouldn't be on my radar. When I hear THQ, I think of the TAC games. That's what I like. So my response is bring back TAC.
That's Noah's take on this. Bring back TAC.
I mean, I think THQ Nordic does technically own it. Like at one point, I did track where all of the THQ assets ended up. I think they own TAC. Well, Nickelodeon does, but they own the development rights. Yeah,
they have a lot of properties because they had that. This was announced during the THQ Nordic like showcase that they had.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So Nickelodeon would publish TAC. I guess they really own it, but I think they have the credit for the games at least.
Yeah. Oh god, there's a lot here. I see Red Faction and everything. Yeah, a lot, and they have their subsidiaries as well. Yeah, so we're happy for Alone in the Dark and bring back TAC.
That's it.
That's TLDR. That is all of the big news that happened this week that we wanted to cover anyway. So now it's time to move on to our main topic, which is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Gen 9. And before I do this, I'm going to do like a little rundown of everything that we know about Scarlet and Violet. And then afterwards, we're going to talk about go into a little bit more detail about the systems and our hopes for it and stuff we wish they are not going to do and avoid because, it wouldn't be a Pokemon conversation without people talking about stuff they didn't like. So we'll do that afterwards. But before all that, we're just going to give a little rundown of our histories with the Pokemon franchise, the game specifically, or you can talk about the anime and card games if you want as well. So Noah, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my first Pokemon game, believe it or not, was Pokemon Platinum. I picked it up when I was pretty old to start. I think I was in 5th grade. So yeah, like in America, a lot of people, like when you hit that age, like you end up with this dilemma, like that, like these games are like for little kids, so I shouldn't play them, but a lot of us like play them secretly, like all throughout, like until adulthood, when we're like, yeah, so I've been secretly playing these games this whole time. I'm still a little kid. Yeah, so yeah, so they're yeah that was a fun experience. Platinum's a pretty good one too. That's a good one to start with. Yeah, so yeah, in terms of the anime, I needed a show, so I actually recently picked up the anime again, and I'm actually caught up. I believe I've seen all of Pokemon.
Wow.
Yeah,
Congrats.
it hasn't. Watching it again, it hasn't changed. A lot of people really got turned off by it, like at a certain point, and watching it again, I don't really get that. To me, it really hasn't changed that much since the originals. I think they have this nostalgia bias for the old characters a bit. That's a big part of it. But yeah, like, what are you gonna do if you have voice actors leaving? That's what you have. You need new characters. So,
What about the games? Do you keep up to date with like all the games? Have you ever skipped any, or like of the main series, I should say?
I skipped Legends Arceus. I just kind of, I don't know. I just kind of skipped it. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not gonna skip Scarlet and Violet. I'm getting that.
So since Platinum, have you played like all of the main series ones then?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, not like each version of each generation.
Yeah.
Just saving money.
Yeah, being smart. Mark, what about you? What's your history with Pokemon?
Well, I started with the anime. I didn't have a Game Boy as a kid, but I did have a friend who let me play on her Game Boy. So shout out to Z for letting me play on her hot pink Game Boy, and I played Pokemon Gold. Yeah, I'm still friends with her today. So yeah, I don't know if she'll ever hear this, but anyway, so that's kind of where I started with Gold, which I think was one of the. I started with Platinum. No, that's a gen later. Anyway, but yeah, I started with Pokemon Gold, which it was a real nice surprise when you didn't just have the Johto region, you had the Kanto region as well. That was like a really sweet surprise. Like, I still remember being blown away because it wasn't like you had the internet in those days where you'd hear about it from a friend. I think it was like at school, hey, dude, do you know that you can go to another region? I'm like, wow, I was just catching these Pokemon, but now I could go challenge more gyms. It was crazy. It was like mind-blowing. It was like, oh my God, it's like I got 2 games instead of 1. It was so cool. So that's still today one of my favorite. I still have Heart Gold somewhere, which I bought much later. And also, like Noah, I was a bit of a Pokemon closeted gamer for a long time. I still remember going to buy my DS Lite so I could pick up. I think I picked up Pearl because that's the only one I could find at the time, and I felt so like, I don't know, embarrassed to be buying a DS Lite. And I walked into the store all shy. Hey, can I please have a DS? And the guy he was just like, whatever, here you go, dude. Like, I'm like, oh. So, and since then, I skip a few games here and there. The last one, I haven't played Pokemon Legends Arceus. The last I played was Sword and Shield. And I played the base game. I got the expansions, but I didn't get into them. I might go check them out again at some stage. But to be honest, I feel, formula's gotten a bit stale. And I know they're trying to freshen it up, but I'm a bit skeptical. So that's my history, really. But I guess we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, spoilers, Mark.
Sorry.
keep your opinions in.
It's hard.
Yeah, well,
I've got a lot of opinions.
Yeah. They're just bottling, waiting there. Like, come on, news, what we've been playing. Hurry up.
Okay, and what about you? Like, do you have much history with the game?
So I probably have the least amount of experience with the main Pokemon franchises, you guys, because I was like the perfect age when Pokemon came out. So it was the anime and the cards, I remember ripping my brother's cards and stealing them because I wanted them so bad. Like, it was real like Pokemania. I had like
Pokemania.
Yeah, like I wasn't embarrassed by it because I was like, 8, so it was okay. And I, like you, Mark, I never had I didn't have a Game Boy when Pokemon was getting big, so. But like you, I had someone who I played it on their Game Boy. It was my cousin, James, another legend. And I
Legends.
remember, yeah, going down to my cousin's house and playing it with him. And he had all its spin-offs. So it was like Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Snap, which I probably remember more fondly than the base game these days. It was a lot more, colorful and because you could do like 2-player with the mini games and all that. Anyway, but that's kind of where my Pokemon history ended for a long while until randomly me and my little brother got Game Boy Advance SPs for Christmas. And he got Fire Red and I got Leaf Green, and we played the crap out of those games.
Of course you did.
Yeah, they were great. They're fantastic. My personal, like, they're not the best games in the series, but just my personal favorite because it's what really got me into the Pokemon games. Or at least just those games, because I didn't play any of the DS ones. It's kind of that person who's like, well, if they're adding new Pokemon, what's the point? Where's my Squirtle? Where's this? Where's that? And then Pokemon Go came out, and it was just a major
Pokemon was
phenomenon.
cool again.
Exactly, like it captured that. Here's your original one from the Kanto region. Go out and catch them. You didn't have to worry about the mechanics, which I think are fine, but for a mobile game, it was perfect. And I kept it going for quite a while, and it got me back into the main series of Pokemon along with the Switch, because I didn't play any of the DS Pokemon games or anything, and I just love the Switch, love it so much. So Sword and Shield is where I came back. I played Arceus, so I am firmly back on the Pokemon hype train, but I just have huge gaps in my Pokemon knowledge, and I struggle with the gens because it's just Pokemon. It's like whatever Pokemon Go released, that's where I know them from. Playing Sword and Shield was so confusing whenever I thought it was a Sword Shield exclusive Pokemon. I'm like, no, that's from Gen 5 or whatever. So, got back into it, picked up Shining Pearl because of it. And opposite of probably all the other Pokemon fans, it wasn't going stale for me because I didn't really play a lot of it. So Shining Pearl was like, oh, this is new. I don't need to take a Pokemon to do cut. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, that's my short, brief history with Pokemon. So now that you're all up to speed of what we're like with Pokemon, I'm going to do a really quick run through of just what we know basics of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So it is releasing the 18th of November of this year, which is like a week after God of War. So a week before or a week after, I can't remember, pretty close to that huge game, which is just like 10 months after Arceus, which was also developed by Game Freak, which is just like insane to me. But anyway, we'll talk about that later on. It's the 9th generation, and the Legendaries are, maybe you can help me with the pronunciation, Noah, Koraidon and Miraidon?
So I've been saying Koraidon and Miraidon, that's what sounds the best to me, but a lot of people are like saying it differently. So I don't know. That's what I like.
This is my constant problem of Pokemon. Just do not know how to pronounce them.
Well, they're dragons. Like, to me, those sound like the dragon names. Like, I'm imagining like the Game of Thrones dragon names when I say that.
Yeah, definitely. And difference in the Legendaries is that they can be stored early in the game, but you can't have them on your team. This is from the Pokemon Wiki, by the way, so I'm not sure it says legendary Pokemon can be stored early in the game, but not have them on your team. So, but we saw that you can ride around in the Legendaries basically like you could in Arceus with different mounts. So it doesn't look like there's going to be it'll be like the end game getting the Legendary, but we'll discuss that later. This is the quote-unquote first fully open world in a main Pokemon entry. Areas are seamlessly connected, allowing us to travel through the game's areas together. Arceus pretty much did this, and honestly, I debate that Pokemon has been an open world game for quite a while. But I get what they're saying. No, this is the open world game. Like Pokemon in the wild, catching them like you did in Arceus, but it's not so contained as that.
I think what they mean is that there aren't loading screens between exterior cells. That's the main thing I think they mean.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's why they were trying to get off our cases being everyone was like, oh my god, open world, and they're like, wait, not quite yet. Starter Pokemon is again naming Sprigatito, Fuecoco,
Yep.
and Quaxley.
Mhm.
So that's your grass, your fire, and your water. The region is the Paldea region, which is inspired by the Iberian Peninsula and by Spanish and Portuguese culture. So, like Sword and Shield was inspired by British culture. And there will be, just like the Galarian regionals, there will be Paldean regional variants, but we only know of Paldean Whooper so far.
Yeah, Wooper and Tauros.
Oh, Taurus as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
Taurus was confirmed?
Well, according to the leakers, I guess
Ah.
technically it's not confirmed by Nintendo.
Yes, we can
I
talk
love
about the
leak
leaks
season.
later.
I love leak season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
rather, rumor season. Shall we say?
Well, to be fair, like sidetracking a little bit here, didn't all the leaks turn out to be true from what they showed off in this?
Yeah, so they're true. Like we know that this guy Riddler Coup and the new guy Khan, like they're legit. Like because then they called a lot of the Sword and Shield stuff. So yeah, they
Yeah.
are legit leakers.
Yeah. So Whooper just
Okay.
official so far, but you said Taurus as well.
Yeah. Apparently Tauros is getting actually 3 different forms. It's gonna. Yeah, I think they just came out with colors. Like they're going to have a secondary type, and one's going to be black, another blue, and the red one, and it's going to be based on like where on the map it is. Like
Okay.
and really, I think that's a play on the Spanish cattle industry, how they are known for having cows.
Okay. Interesting. Another new thing is that there will be exclusive professors for each version. So Professor, a game with the name Sada, is in Scarlet, and Professor Turo is in Violet. And one of the big things they showed off in the last Pokemon Presents like direct was the battle mechanic Terastal phenomenon, where you terastalize. I'm going to struggle with the pronunciation of that for a really long time, but it basically makes your Pokemon look like it's got like a little crystal hat, and it like crystallizes it, and it will seem to have pretty big ramifications for the battling, because there's so many different like types it can change to. But we'll come back to that later. As well as the starters and Paldean Whopper, we know that there will be Smoliv, who is a small olive. Surprise. There is Lechonk, who I still haven't forgiven Noah for skipping over during the last Pokemon Presents.
How could you? How could
Right?
Lechonk is cool.
Although Mark probably would have just talked about bacon. Other Mark, not this Mark, sorry.
Bacon.
We have Palmy, who is the the Pikachu type mouse one. Fido, who Mark was talking about eating last week. Again, other Mark.
Evil Mark.
Evil Mark. Setitan?
Titan. I've been saying Titan.
That seems to make sense.
That's a very cool Pokemon.
I like that. I like that one too. Yeah.
He's he's an ice type, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Paldea and Whopper, which we already talked about. Big thing for this is that it will have multiplayer. It says up to 4 players at once, seamlessly, apparently.
Seamlessly.
So
they throw that word around a lot, don't they?
you can go around and catch Pokemon with your buddies as you're all in your motorbike legendaries. Just a small detail, there are outdoor Pokemon centers that look like gas stations, basically.
That's cute.
Yeah, instead of your traditional Pokemon centers. And one of the big things apparently is you can play the story without being restricted to the structured plot traditionally found in the main series Pokemon games. So there'll be 3 main stories that I believe you can tackle in any order, as well as you can tackle the gyms in any order, but it doesn't scale to levels. So there will inevitably be a structure that everyone will probably go for because it will be the easiest. And that is about everything we know about like Pokemon and the mechanics with it. Did I miss anything major, guys?
Don't think so.
Nope.
I probably will end the podcast. It's like, oh, you forgot about this huge major thing. So right, I guess I want to open it up to basically what are your general impressions of Scarlet and Violet so far? And are you going to get it? I assume you're all going to get it, but yeah, Mark, do you want to start there?
Okay, I'll go for it. Well, so far, I really like the designs for some of the new Pokemon that I've seen. I think I was impressed with some of the designs for the last Gen 8, I think it was. Also get confused sometimes. Like Corviknight was very cool. There was a few others I really liked. Some of them were a bit like, that Apple Dragon thing. I mean, that was like, okay. But there's always one or two designs like that. It's just Pokemon. But I like the design so far. The world itself, it sounds to me it's more of the same, just like kind of reskin. They've added a bit more. It sounds like there's a bit more separation between gens, but I'll probably get it. I'll see what they normally twist my arm in the months leading up to release with new trailers and announcements, and as they start showing us more Pokemon and telling us more about the game. It normally, I have to buy it by the time it releases.
What about you, Noah? What are you thinking about how Scarlet and Violet looks so far?
So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to like it better than I liked Sword and Shield, and that's really just based on the Pokemon. We're pretty sure there's going to be like 130-ish per Pokemon, and that's why I play. I like seeing these new creatures, so so I like that higher number. So yeah, and yeah, of course there's like the modern things like that Terastalizing gimmick. I think just kind of looks dumb. Like I like that it kind of changes battling, but to me, how they went about it is weird. It changes the. I'm still not clear on how it works. It changes the type of or not the type or the power of a certain type of move. For one Pokemon, and I'm like, well, that's not that much different from Z moves.
From my understanding, it can enhance the move type if it stays that type. But there are like up to 18 different ways that you can terastallize. So you do change your type and your type moves. So I get, but it's a little bit confusing so far. I would agree.
Yeah, I like how they're going for like something that actually changes battling as opposed to just a flashy animation or a new sketch. But to me, I'd prefer that it went by like an actual system. I don't like how there's these seemingly random terrestrial types. I wish it was like every water type terrestrial thing becomes like this, like the inverse, like electric or something. Like if there was more of a system to it, I'd like that a bit better.
But general thoughts on so far, it looks okay to you, and with a few annoyances so far, you're gonna get it?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm absolutely going to get it.
Yeah, I thought so.
As well.
For me, I actually wasn't going to get this because I was like, "Are you being serious? You just released Arceus, and it's Game Freak as well. Like, I know they have different teams and a lot of people working on these, but I kind of get a little bit annoyed with Pokemon sometimes because I'm like, can you just please wait, just develop this for a little longer? Can you imagine what the Pokemon game we'd get if they had like a proper cycle for a new Pokemon game? And I talked about it before. I really liked Arceus, but I was really disappointed at just like how crap it looked. Like, not to be and I usually don't care about that stuff, but it was like it really took away that sense of like open world type wonder when you go into like a new area and you're like, this is supposed to be the cool beach area, and you're like, this looks awful, and you go into the snow area and you're just it really took me out of it, which is not what I play Pokemon for at all. But I think I will get Scarlet and Violet because what I've seen so far has been pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be a major step forward, but that's never really what Pokemon is. From what I've played anyway, it's like little steps at a time. Like I believe Arceus was a step toward Scarlet and Violet from Sword and Shield, which I enjoyed. But personally, this is another thing I wanted to ask you. What do you play the Pokemon game for? Because for me, I don't catch them all. and I am not really interested in having like the best competitive Pokemon. It's really just being in that world, which is why I guess Arceus was so disappointed to me. And experiencing the world with the Pokemon and building up my own personal story with the team. Noah, what aspects about Pokemon games like draw you to it?
I like discovering new Pokemon. Like, yeah, I like walking around, encountering something I haven't seen, and catching it and watching it evolve. Like imagining what's it going to evolve into, and then seeing it happen and being like, oh, that's so cool. That's it draws me in.
Yeah. What about you, Mark?
Definitely that as well. That's one of the best parts about Pokemon is getting a new one and trying your best to avoid as many spoilers as possible, so you can experience it as authentically as possible. And that's the best feeling is when you see something you haven't seen before, catch something and train it and learn about it. And yeah, you develop almost like a bond with your team, and you develop it as you go. It's one thing I enjoy about it. I do also enjoy. I wouldn't say I'm competitive, but I do enjoy battling against other players. It can become very what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I guess competitive. Yeah, I've had some very exciting matches where things become very tight, and it's literally down to the last move. And if you miss something or whatever, it becomes very intense sometimes, which is fun. That's another cool thing about Pokemon.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all kind of similar in why we play Pokemon. Like, do you ever like try to catch them all? I know it's near impossible these days, but do you ever do it?
I can't say I've ever completed a Pokedex in my life. And I've played, yeah, probably. I think the only games I've skipped some of the remakes and things. I've skipped a few, but I've played a lot of them over the years. And
I think you have, Noah, haven't you?
Have what?
Completed Pokedexes in games?
I think I have done it, but I tend to skip it nowadays.
Yeah, there's just like when you have so many.
You only have so much time to play the game.
Yeah, before it does start to come stale. I think anything comes stale after you've caught like 900 Pokemon. The big thing I probably want to start with, if you guys don't mind, is they're changing to the structure of the story, which I don't personally believe is going to be that much of a change. So just to recap, it says it's not going to be a structured plot. There'll be 3 main stories, and you can do them in any order. Mark, what do you think of this? And do you think it's just going to be what we've had before, slightly different?
You can do them in any order except the gyms don't scale, like you said. So you're probably going to end up doing them in the most logical order, which will be from the easiest gym to the hardest. You're not going to, I don't know, maybe people will play it differently. We'll have to see, but I don't think that's going to change much. I mean, I know there's also 3 stories now, but often you would get a lot of the post-game content would be quite, I would say, meaty. You know, you get quite a lot of content after beating all your gyms and things, and that was normally a lot more interesting than anything that happened. Like, what was it called? Delta episode in
Oraz, so Omega
Oraz,
Ruby, Aqua Sapphire,
yeah, and then there was that Looker agency in X and Y, which I really enjoyed. I think it was X and Y. Yeah, but I don't think it changes much. As long as they try and make it like decent, I just don't see them. That's always been one of my biggest gripes. It's the same. So I'm really playing the game just to discover the new Pokemon, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if anyone played Pokemon for its story. Like, it's, in my opinion, like one of their weakest parts. What do you think about this, Noah?
Yeah, I don't think the story itself will be that much different. The structure, like, all right, I'm open to it. Like, why not? I've seen games that do things like this. Like, supposedly, once you complete these separate stories, you unlock like something in that middle area, that enclosed mountain valley. So so I've seen games do things like that before. Off the top of my head, I think actually Elder Scrolls 6 was kind of like that. No, not Elder Scrolls 6. Elder Scrolls Online.
I was like, whoa, you knew something we don't?
Yeah, I don't secretly
Your review copy's out already?
Nope.
You're making it sound
damn,
like
I
you
wish-
do have a
I'll-
secret copy of it.
No, I don't. Yeah,
Oh,
Elder
inside
Scrolls
information.
Online.
Are you
Yes.
playtesting Elder Scrolls 6?
Yeah, so yeah, you
Sorry.
do that, and then you unlock the next one. Like, to me, that's not that much different than the traditional style. Like, really, a Pokemon story is a series of flags. It's a series of sequential flags. So yeah, so this way it's at least not all the way sequential. Like, but yeah, like, how different is it really?
That's my exact thoughts of it. I feel like they're just
Right.
maybe putting this on a box. I'm like, yeah, and then you can do it like this, but it's just slightly different. Like, I really don't think it's going to change an awful
Like
lot.
you. Yeah, you just don't have the roadblocks. You know, that guy that says, sorry, we're busy
Yes.
working here, you know, turn around, come back later.
There's not a giant Snorlax blocking your way.
Yeah.
Or maybe there is. They had some of that in Arceus, actually, where you could just, I think you had to battle the Pokemon. I do kind of like how they do make, like, have the little in-jokes with that sometimes. But as we're talking about these storylines, you guys want to jump to the Legendaries? Because I personally think one of these storylines will just be the Legendary one, right? Or at least part of it. What do you think about the Legendaries being available early on in the game and that they are your vehicle, basically? They've overtaken your bike. Noah, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm open to it. I was saying last week, like, it seems like a return to the more basic structure that, like, of the original 2 generations of not building everything around the legendaries, but apparently there actually is going to be a third legendary that they're saving for DLC.
Okay.
So yeah, and I kind of like thought that might be what they're doing. Like, they always do the third legendary these days. So yeah, so apparently that little face on the terastalized crowns is like a hint for what the third legendary is going to look like. So yes.
Yeah, they always drop these very obscure hints.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
yeah, to me, that I like Koraidon and Miraidon, but I kind of wish they weren't dragons. Like, they've done dragons so many times before that to me it's just not different enough. And on Koraidon, I think the black coloring is too much. Like it's just one too many colors. But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, and I really like how Miraidon actually transforms into a bike and the wheels actually turn. That's really cool to me.
Yeah, I don't understand why the other one has wheels and he uses his arms. Like, I know it's a meme at this
Yeah.
point. Well,
Yeah, it's
very Pokemon
Yeah,
to do that.
yeah, Miraidon's so much cooler. It is the way it is. I actually pre-ordered Scarlet. So yeah, because everyone wants Violet, so I'm like, I'm just gonna pre-order Scarlet and I'll have those exclusives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One
you'll be
thing
the
actually
guy.
I think I did miss is that no, I didn't miss it. I guess it's just, I suppose, a thing where you, because it has the multiplayer element of it, you will be able to catch these Pokemon in another player's game state, which I feel like encourages multiplayer. But before we jump onto that, sorry, Mark, what do you think about the Legendaries? Do you like the designs? Do you like kind of the fact that they're your vehicle and replacing your bike?
To be honest, I'm a bit whatever about the legendaries. The designs are all right. To be honest, I prefer the more normal Pokemon designs that they've come out with. Legendaries, there's been a lot of talk about how legendaries don't really feel like legendaries anymore. I mean, every game has them. You know, they're there. So I guess finding them earlier in game is whatever. Because to me, a legendary is, well, they do have good stats and whatever, and they are powerful Pokemon to have in game. But you know they're there. So why not just be able to get them early on? And
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Well, you can't catch them early on. They're replacing like the bikes or HMs from the recent games, and then you're.
Oh, but you can't use them. Okay, so that makes
I
sense.
guess
But
that
even
would
still,
mess up the combat if you have just this.
but then why
Right.
not?
Yeah, well, apparently you can catch them and battle with them at the ends, but starting out like they are just like a vehicle.
So they're with you the whole time. That makes no sense at all. Like, how did they even lampshade that? That's okay, but
Yeah.
moving along. That I don't want to think about that too much because it's just like
I bet you it'll be some bullshit like you need to find a special thing to terastalize it so it can be in your team or something.
maybe you didn't know it was a Pokemon or something.
Yeah, like this looks very much like a Pokemon, but I don't think it is.
It's just a bike.
Yeah, sure.
It's like it's a weird rotten bike that's I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vintage.
So yeah, those are the legendaries. To me, honestly, legendaries aren't really that big of a deal to me. Like Marc said, it's kind of that thing I do at the end of the game, you know, when you get that storyline to do it. One of the bigger things, as I mentioned before, is being able to go into somebody else's game state, and then you can play with up to 4 players, and you can have like this squad going around in your weird Pokemon motorbikes. I guess I'll open it up. Do you like this? Will you play it? And do you think Nintendo are going to implement this seamlessly? Marc, do you want to go ahead there?
Okay, well, to start off, I like the idea. That's kind of what I hoped for with Sword and Shield, but it didn't quite work out that way. We did get it a bit with what was it? Crown Tundra, I think.
Yeah, right.
Where you go into the caves, but that wasn't really like open world exploring with your friends. So it was like exploring a cave with your friends, like, and it wasn't even like, yeah, it was very underwhelming. So I'm curious to see what they do. I know there's going to be like some sort of Nintendo jankiness to it because they always have like some sort of jank to their online systems. So I'm expecting that, but I'm going to just remain positive that they are going to improve on what we've had before. I mean, I guess Sword and Shield was a step in the right direction. I mean, yeah, I definitely like to have my friends with me in the game and we catch Pokemon together. And yeah, I like that idea. I think that's going to be a big appeal for me. Especially, I've got a lot of friends like in England and in the States and all over the world that I can also now interact with in a more meaningful way in the game. Hopefully, because I got a lot of friends that I know are going to buy this game, and it'd be cool to like actually be able to hang out with them. Before I would, even get on Facebook with and get on a Facebook call with my friend, so I could play with him, and it just made no sense because we're in game together, and it was just weird the way they did multiplayer. So hopefully, it's just getting better. That's me.
Yeah. To me, I agree. I feel like this is another step in the right direction, and totally agree. I do not think it's going to go smooth at all.
It never does.
No. Hopefully, they can iron out stuff. They obviously do add updates. They're even added updates to Shiny Pearl and Arceus as it goes on. So hopefully that will be better. And yeah, I feel like for me personally, it would encourage me to actually go and catch more if I was able to, I can just go in with my friend and we can both go around this place if we need this Pokemon or do that Pokemon. I feel like it would really add legs to this game for me. What about you, Noah?
Yeah, that the players we need to be getting something out of it. It can't just be a pointless gimmick just to be standing next to your friends. You need catching version exclusives with a friend who has the other version. That would be the thing I'd look for to say, okay, this encourages me to do it. I imagine you're doing Terastal raid battles together. That's probably the main thing. There to be you can do this together. Woohoo! To me, but beyond those few things, I'm struggling to think of things that you'd really be getting out of it. So, yeah. So, I guess let's give it a shot. After it doesn't run smoothly, then give it another shot.
We're all just totally agreed on that. Yeah. It's not going to work, but a good idea. Another thing I'm curious
it'll
about
at least be a little bit better, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. They have hopefully learned. I'm wondering, I doubt they're going to let you do story together. I'm going to guess it'll lock you, and then maybe it's just exploring elements you can do together.
Yeah,
I don't see why not. I mean, if you can challenge the gyms in any order, and maybe you can do story together if you're in the same part of the story.
Absolutely love it if you did.
Yeah,
it would be cool.
I think you probably won't be able to do story, and that'll be a big miss. Like that to me feels like a technology thing that I could totally see Game Freak just skipping because they see it as not worth it to be able to sync your stories up. Because, you know, if you're not at the same point, then there's all this coding nonsense you have to do to make that work together. So I imagine they're going to just skip that, thinking it's not worth it, when really it kind of is.
Yeah, I guess when you're 10 months after your previous game. Yeah. My old complaint again, just take your time, please. But yeah, I would absolutely love it if they did do that, because I feel like it would be good for not just like your friends. Like I have nieces who really like Pokemon, so like playing with them
Yeah.
would be really cool, like helping them in the story and helping them get, but then doing it for myself at the same time. I'd really love that. The other massive thing, of course, this is a Pokemon game. Probably the main reason why I play a Pokemon game is we have new Pokemon, and I am actually a huge fan of like all the Pokemon they've announced so far. We got, just a recap, the starters: Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley, and then we've seen Smoliv, Lechonk, Palmy, Fidough, Cetitan, and Paldea and Whipper, along with like loads of returning ones that we've seen in the trailer. I guess, what's your starter going to be? What do you think of these designs? And how would you rate them like with the other? I know we already went over this a little bit, but do you think that they've hit with these Pokemon? Noah, what's your starter going to be?
I'm probably going to pick Fuecoco. I like the designs. To me, Quaxley and Sprigatito need like one more element of detail each. Like especially standing next to Fuecoco, like that's the thing. Like one of the things I
Better
especially
compare to
like,
your wee boy.
right? Like to me, like one of the things I really like about the Sinnoh starters is they have this uniformity. They all have this like same level of detail. And because Fuecoco just has a bit more detail than the other two, it just kind of looks off. But yeah, because their marketing tools is what they are. So that uniformity goes a long way. So yeah, and supposedly that, like, we know the secondary typings of their evolutions through leakers. Supposedly Fuecoco becomes Fire Ghost, Quaxley becomes Water Fighting, and Sprigatito becomes Grass Dark. So I kind of would have preferred what in a YouTube video I kind of speculated about this. I kind of preferred my ideas to what the leakers are saying. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah,
As it always is.
yeah, like it to me, like it they've done dark before. They haven't done water fighting. Like they've done fighting on the other two types, but not on water. Yeah, it's like to me, like it's too much more of the same. If that makes sense. I preferred what I had suggested with steel, fairy, and fighting. But yeah, so yeah, but I'll give it a shot. And supposedly, they have themes, like, and I like that these themes kind of have some uniformity. Like in Gen 8, each starter did have a theme, but they were so different. Like Inteleon's like a spy, Rillaboom's like a drummer, like it's so random. So supposedly Fuecoco's theme becomes a singer, and Quaxley becomes like a
Love
dancer.
it.
Yeah,
Love
and and Sprigatito becomes like a magician.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, so that one's a little bit random, but I like that they like dancer and singer. Like, all right, there's some uniformity here. The magician's really random, but all right. Yeah, well,
Again, we're right.
try.
You always have that randomness element to
Yeah.
Pokemon. Like, okay, you've done that. Okay. I'm super interested in fighting Water Quaxley, actually. That's going to be quite the final evolution, I think.
Yeah.
And then, what'd you say was a dancer?
Yeah, supposedly it's gonna look like a peacock, like it's peacock inspired.
Oh, cool! I can, like a flamenco dancer.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool.
What about you, Mark? What do you think your starter's going to be? What do you think about them?
I'm a cat person, so easy. And yeah, like if it's going to be a magician, yeah, that appeals to me as well. I think, yeah, I've made my choice. Sprigatito all the way. Although I would say Quaxley's a close second. Once I realized that Fuecoco looks like a chili, I like him a lot more as well. He's quite cool.
Like,
It's
ooh.
actually they all quite good designs. So I even like Quaxley. He's got a bit of a Donald Trump vibe going on. to
No,
me. I
don't
don't know if
say
it's just
that.
me.
No.
Like his hair.
I,
Check it.
I was thinking more
Come
like
on.
Johnny Bravo, you know.
Maybe.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah, Johnny
Yeah.
Bravo.
Could be.
Um,
Yeah, I'm going with Sprigatito this round.
Do you know what? I like that we all chose different because I was like, Quaxley. Like, look at him. Someone referred to him as an arrogant duck. I was like, yeah,
I think
that
he's
seems
cool.
like Quaxley. Yeah. And I really can't wait to see what his final evolution is going to be now that you've told me that, Mark. Or Noah, sorry.
No,
I said it.
Noah's got all
Too
the
many Marks on the podcast.
only one today at least.
Yeah, thank you. That makes it. We don't have to separate it between evil Mark and good Mark, you know. Yeah, but actually, that magician.
More neutral. We haven't found a good Mark yet.
Yeah, we need one more Mark. Make it up, and then we'll just go like D&D, like chaotic, neutral, and lawful good.
No, please, not that many Marks. Two isn't enough for now.
Yeah, we'd have to.
Anyway,
we're
talking Pokemon, not Marks.
You're right. Get
Let's
me
not
back on
collect too
track.
many Marks.
I'm really interested in Sprigatito being a magician thing. If that turns out to be right, that's just so random and so up my alley for what I play Pokemon for. You're like, right, okay, cool.
So are you leaning towards Sprigatito now instead of Quaxley after that?
Yeah, it was Quaxley was locked in. You know, I was like, look at him in his little comb, his little quiff. But
he is
and
cute,
also,
though.
yeah, I always tend to go for a water starter for some reason. I think
I'm normally the fire starter.
Are you normally a fire starter, Noah?
I really change. A while ago, I kind of thought about like what's my favorite starter for each game, and I really ended up like dead even. Like I have the same amount of favorites for every type.
Yeah, mine's tends to be water, but I mean, I can't. Chikorita is like my favorite Pokemon at this point. Just underrated Pokemon in my opinion, but that's a whole other podcast. Yeah, that was the starters. I'm pretty like them. I think that you're right. I think it was Noah. Sorry, they are doing their job at marketing. You know, even Evil Mark said that he was interested in this because of the first trailer that dropped. So what about the other Pokemon then? The other Pokemon that we know of in the Paldean region. So Smoliv, Lechonk, Palmy, Fidough, Satitan, and Paldean Whipper. Mark, any thoughts on them? Do you like them? Do you not like them?
Well, like every Pokemon game, there's always good designs and bad designs. So far, I like what I'm seeing. Yeah, like Lechonk, super cute. Little hug Pokemon. He's great. I think he's going to be super popular. I think he's going to, like, forget the starters. He's going to be like the game's mascot, really.
Yeah, if you're going to memes. I don't know, Fidough? I think it's Fidough.
Fido.
He seems to be...
Fido.
Yeah, Fido seems to be taking people's hearts at the moment. They can't decide.
I don't like Fido. There's like out of the lot. I know he looks tasty, but I wonder if he comes.
Marks wanting to eat Pokemon?
No, but I wonder if he's gluten free. I don't know. Looks yeah. I'd get like stomach cramps from eating him. But yeah, I like Satitan, the land whale, Terra whale Pokemon. Ice type. I'm sure it's going to evolve. That's a very interesting design starting out. I think it looks really cool. And I'm curious to see how that goes. Out of the lots, I think the weakest designs for me are the legendaries.
Okay, interesting.
And I'm just gonna say that. Yeah, Paldean Whipper, he's cute as well.
Yeah, he's another one who's
poison ground typing is an interesting one. I don't know if we have any other. I think we have any poison ground types. Not that I'm aware of.
I believe that's the first.
Okay, yeah. So it's. I'm happy with what I've seen, but I'm sure we're going to have some lemons as we normally do, like some very like weird designs.
Yeah, like this one's a chair. This one's a radiator.
Keys.
Yeah, although saying that, I really like. Is it vanillite?
Vanillite.
Just like you're an ice cream.
Ice cream.
Fine. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I like ice cream.
I like
Everyone likes ice cream.
What about you, Noah? What do you think about these other non-starter Pokemon that we've seen so far?
I've liked them so far. I like that they're not drowning in unnecessary details. Like a lot of Gen 5 Pokemon are just over detailed, but I've liked them all so far. I don't prefer regional variants. To me, like I'd prefer they just did all new Pokemon than revisited these old things. But it is what it is. In a video, I went into more detail saying they should change the names of these regional forms. It would be so much better if they would just change the names, make them not really the same Pokemon, but they're the Game Freak thing where they just do everything a little bit wrong. So
like a slight variation of the name or something at least.
Yeah,
that would actually work
to minimize confusion. Like why make us have to specify which Raichu we're talking about? Like just change the name slightly.
Eventually, you're not going to know which
yeah.
Is that a new Pokemon? I'm not sure.
Eventually, I'm already there. Like
I'm already there as well. That's not great.
Yeah, so I've liked the designs. Dan lit a light bulb for me last week where we kind of put our brains together and was like, maybe this is going to be Gen 9's alchemy. Maybe it's going to evolve into like a different kind of bread, like depending on like how you bake it. Like, I'd like that.
I think it could be. They always have a weird...
Yeah, like Pokemon like that. Like you change the forms.
Yeah, and they started with Furfrau, I think, where you can kind of cut its hair differently. Like I like when they add this customizable one that adds a cool element to it. Just giving it like different skins, different models. It's pretty cool.
Kind of like a new variant of Eevee in a way.
Yeah,
but not quite.
Yeah, like it's not a different Pokemon. It's just has multiple models, multiple 3D models.
Yeah, same. I've liked all of the Pokemon so far. I feel like they're definitely leaning into more of the cute angle for the marketing. Obviously, they want to get kids and people like me playing it. I feel like I'd like to see a little bit more of like the fighting type Pokemon, and you know the ones I mean, like Satitan, because he seems to have like a lot of people seem to like him, like his design. These sort of like non-cute Pokemon. I'd like to see a little bit more of them, but I mean,
he's a tough-looking little guy. Huh?
Yeah, when they kick up the marketing, I believe we'll see like a lot more of these types of Pokemon. That is it for the Pokemon that we know of so far. And again, just reiterate, we're getting like lots of Pokemon from previous generations. They've been in the trailers. It would take me a long time to list them all. But I'm sure there's a pretty good list out there for that. Another big one, I guess, is it's always interesting to see what region type they go for in a game. I'm personally pretty interested in this like Spanish and Portuguese inspired Paldea because again, Arceus was just didn't do it for me. And I've never complained about what a Pokemon looked like before, ever. I'm like, it's whatever. I play for the Pokemon, it's fine. But this looks better. It still doesn't look fantastic, but I like the setting. I think the setting is making it look better. Marc, do you like the setting of this one, the Paldea region?
I think it's a more interesting setting than the last one. Maybe that's just because I'm a lot more aware about British culture than I am of Portuguese and Spanish culture. So yeah, I do like the setting. Looking forward to exploring the region and seeing what flavor it has to offer. I wonder what there's always that regional specialty. I wonder what it's going to be this time.
That's right, yeah. Noel, what do you think about the Paldea region taking inspiration from Portugal and Spain?
So I like what I've seen from in game so far. Looks nice to me. Looking at the map, to me it looks too man-made. Like that lake's placed so perfectly up there, and that perfect crater in the middle. I preferred when they at least looked real, but I like what I've seen of the in-game. And supposedly that people are theorizing that they might start doing throwback DLCs, but because the way it kind of connects to a piece of land up at the top right corner, it looks like it's going to connect to Kalos almost. So people are theorizing and they may do a throwback DLC, which To me, that would make sense to start with that, because the remakes have become so unnecessary. Like you're remaking Pokemon the Diamond and Pearl. Like why? Like yeah. So I like this idea of going to these throwback DLCs rather than these AAA remakes that just aren't necessary anymore. Like it's looking like they may do one for Gen 5, and that might be the last one for a while.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that brings up another something for me. Something I didn't like in Sword and Shield was that they didn't, well, obviously didn't add all the Pokemon to the base game. Totally fine, cool, but you had to pay for it with the DLC. If you wanted it for Sword and Shield, and I was like, I am not, like I said, I don't collect them all or anything. It did not interest me enough, and it seemed a little bit like a cash grab. I mean, all of Pokemon to me feels like a cash grab, because you have the two
really
versions,
Yep.
and if you are a mega fan, you're like, hell yeah, I'm buying the two versions. But I mean, loads of games have DLC. They're all like cash grabs. You could have spent more time and put it in the main game, but if they changed it different enough, that to me sounds like a good idea. If you had that, there is a reason for not including all of the Pokemon, or we left this Pokemon out of this bit. But again, if you're like a mega fan, you're buying the 2 packs, you're buying the DLC. I don't think Pokemon will ever change that. One of the changes this time as well was the professors for different regions. I wonder if that will change it at all. Like legendaries are obviously different, but your professor, I feel like it'll just like give a different feel to the story. You just have any thoughts on that? It was just like a smaller thing in, which I thought was strange that they were putting 2 professors in 2 different games.
Yeah, I think it's just a play on like how they're trying to establish this past and future vibe. Like to me, that's all it really is. I think their dialogue has to be written differently, because they're characterized so differently. So yeah, their lines are probably not going to be mirror images of each other. But yeah, to me, it's like whatever.
Yeah. Anything, Mark? I really don't. I'm just confused by it.
To be honest, I kind of feel they are trying to justify having 2 separate games, and I don't I understand back in the day on Game Boy when you had to physically get a link cable and make friends to trade your Pokemon, and that was how they encouraged people to make gaming a social thing. It's different now. I mean, people still go out and buy 2 copies of Pokemon each time, and to me, it's making less and less sense. Like I get you have version exclusives, and maybe now with different professors, that if the writing and interaction with the professor is quite significant, which it usually is. Well, unless you just play the through your gyms and whatever, and then that's it. Then you just left to your own devices. Well, I guess where I'm going with that is, maybe we'll have a little bit of a different story in each game, and I think Noah already kind of touched on that, the past and future vibes. But who knows? I don't really care about having a different professor.
Yeah, I would only care if it was done, like if it was like, oh, this story did this and that story did that. But you're right, it's never been the main appeal of the Pokemon game. No. But that was an interesting thought about adding these story to different versions, because you're right. I feel like they should at this point justify if you're going to buy 2 copies, because Arceus sold a lot for not being a main series type game, and for only having 1 copy and not having 2. So they could do it. Maybe they want to make it seem less like a cash grab, which yay.
It's still a cash grab.
Yeah. Okay, so the big thing, probably mechanical and visual wise with this that we haven't talked about yet, this is the Terastal phenomenon. We did talk about it a little bit. Do you want to maybe go into more detail? Starting off, for me, I think it looks visually fine as someone who just wants to play Pokemon for the visuals. I have never ever been into any of these gimmicks though, like Gigantamaxing and all that stuff. And honestly, as a Pokemon Go player, it pisses me off, because you're like, well, I'm gonna have to freaking catch that one now, aren't I? I'm gonna have to catch these 18 types of Terastal Pokemon whenever they release them in the game. It does seem to be really confusing right now. Like, I don't think there's one. Like, I've seen press releases and everything for this, and I don't think they are at all getting across what it is, because some of them can have like 18 different types, and then some of them can only terrestrialize into 2. From what I've seen, I don't really know. I think it looks okay. I think it looks better than Gigantamaxing, basically, of what we got in Sword and Shield. And boy, is it going to sell a frick ton more toys when you get like the little Eevee terrestrializing thing. You just put diamonds on it and it's fine. I know I'm going to get confused with this. I just know it. And I know I'm going to have to go look up a guide, even though I am a guide tracker. I'm like, I'm going to have to look up someone else's guide and see what is effective now that I've terrestrialized into this Pokemon and doing the moves. So yeah, just right off the bat, this is confusing to me, but I think it looks okay. And I hope there's some sort of tutorial in the game that does a good job at explaining it. Marc, what are your thoughts about this new gimmick, basically?
I'm kind of on the same page as you with this one. To me, it's just another gimmick. Z moves, Gigantamax, whatever. What was the one before that with the Dynamax? I don't know. Like it's
Mega Evolution.
Mega Evolution. Yeah, it's all to me. It's just another gimmick. It's not why I play the game. It's not really selling me on the game. I like it's cool. I'm sure there'll be some interesting designs. Like there were some very cool Gigantamax designs. Like I remember seeing that long Meowth for the first time. I was like, whoa! I think it was a Meowth, a really long one. And yeah, there were some cool designs, some really wild ones, which was fun. But it's more just the novelty wears off very quickly for me, and I didn't enjoy the raid battles. I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't something I enjoyed. That was a miss for me with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Probably will be the same this time around as well.
What about you, Noah?
To me, the gimmicks are really for little kids. They're meant to look flashy, to look cool, to someone that's not really concerned with quality. Like, so, I've never really been a fan of them. To me, Mega Evolution was like that. Oh, I didn't like that not every Pokemon could do it, and really the Pokemon that got them were already overpowered. Like it's just a way to draw your attention back to Pokemon that are already pretty popular. And then Z moves to me was dumb. Like it's just like an OP move with this animation. Like it's this animation that gets old after a while. And then I actually liked Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing a bit better than I liked those other two, because every Pokemon could do it, and I liked the new forms. Like the Gigantamax forms looked pretty cool, but again, those animations, they get tiring, and I feel like because they spent so much time on that, and they kind of fell short with the regular battle animations. Like they barely did any real unique ones for just regular battling. Yeah, so one of the games I remember liking is I forget what it was called. There was this Wii game that you could like sync your DS up to and battle through, that had like better battle animations that we used to play, and that was really fun. So yeah, to me, I like the focus on just regular battling. Then these gimmicks kind of take away from that. And yeah, like I already said, like to me, Terastalizing just kind of looks dumb. Like I don't really.
Yeah, it's a head scratcher, a real head scratcher.
Yeah. Like I have no desire to do it. I like new Pokemon, and I prefer just regular battle mechanics.
Yeah, not big fans of it here then. So moving on to what we hope Scarlet and Violet doesn't do. So some of the pitfalls that Pokemon is known for, probably, or just what suspicions that we've seen that were like, oh god, please don't do that, or from like leaks that we've seen so far. So Marc, you're the one to propose this, so I'm going to throw it to you first.
I think we've already kind of touched on, well, more than just touched on it, but for me, a big one has always been the story. I'd like something of it, a lot of people that play Pokemon are not kids. They are me and Noah and you, Jessica, as well. So I'd like a game. Maybe I didn't play Arceus. Did they try make a more interesting story with Arceus at least?
Not really, in my opinion.
Not really.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you see, that's the thing there. They're like normally the post game content is a lot better, but I don't want to play the game for 40 hours to get to decent content. You know, I'd like to start the game and have an engaging world. I guess with Pokemon, you don't want to take it too seriously, but you want to at least have a good villain. And there's always that your evil team. They've got to have like a fairly decent motivation. Like I think it was what was this last one?
Team Yell.
Yeah, to me they didn't really. They were just punks, basically.
Yeah, to me the last fair evil team was Team Flare in Gen 6.
Yeah, Team Flare was quite good. Yes, pretty much that's where I'm going with that, and just giving me a world to explore. I felt with Sword and Shield, especially in the base game, I didn't really enjoy the world. I remember, especially in a lot of the older games, there's always like cool caves to explore, like some serious maze-like caves. It would take you a bit of time to get through, and you get lost in them, like properly lost. I remember being lost in Pokemon games. I have not. Maybe it's just because I was like younger, but I don't think so. Even games like, recent memory, Platinum, Platinum Pearl. What was the other one? Diamond. That's kind of. Well, I also got back in on Gen 4 when I bought my DS Lite, and even those games had some challenging areas where I felt Sword and Shield. My journey between each city was, like taking a walk to the kitchen and back. I didn't really feel like I was on a route. I was actually traversing between two cities. It just feels like I'm taking a stroll up the streets. And to me, I'd like, sure, make it easy for players to go past, but I want to see like ladders to go down into a really interesting cave system or what have you. I don't know, just more exploring. I don't feel like I had enough. I suppose I did try remedy that with the DLCs in Sword and Shield, but I don't want to have to pay for that. I want to explore in the base game. So that's my big thing. It's the exploration. More of that, please.
What about you, Noah? Anything that you don't want them to repeat, or you hope it's not going to happen, or you suspect it's going to happen that you don't want?
Yeah, well, I agreed with what Marc was saying that like back in the 2D games, those worlds could be more elaborate, but in this transition, they kind of lost a lot of that, especially in Sword and Shield, because they did the wild area. A lot of attention went to there. Then you just kind of lost a lot of biodiversity from not really exploring the routes as much as you explore that. So yeah, so for me, unfortunately, it's confirmed that they are doing a lot of things I don't want them to do. But, yeah, like not changing the names of the regional variants. The Terastal phenomenon. Let's see, there's
please no gimmicks.
Yeah, the gimmicks, and I've hated the past two evil teams. Like they used to at least be decent antagonists, but Team Yell was so dumb, and and I'll say it again, like with Team Yell, they missed a huge opportunity there. That what they are is near Marley's fan base. But like what's great about sports is rivalries, competing fan bases. So they should have made multiple like Team Yells for every competitor, and they just completely missed that mark. Like it was a huge opportunity to bring back the concept from Gen 3, having Team Aqua and Team Magma, two like competing teams instead of just one. And somehow professional writers did miss that. So yeah, so I just can't stand Team Yell because of that. I didn't really like Team Skull either, but that was a bit better. And so we don't know for sure, but A Drive was speculating it on a video the other day, and I think he may be right based on this like school theme we seem to be getting. He's thinking the evil team is going to be like bully themed, and I'm like, that's gonna stink.
It really will.
Yeah, like it. like the idea that anyone would be like you know, because a lot of Pokemon fans probably have been bullied. So like the idea that anyone would be interested in visiting that concept again, like as a child or as an adult, to me is like no, like it's like no one's gonna want to be confronted with a Pokemon bully in
No,
a video
for sure.
game. That's gonna be awful. But, yeah, so yeah, that's all I can think of for now. That yeah, like they're already doing things I don't want them to do.
Just
Yeah.
on that point you raised, sorry, Jess.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think if they had, like you said with Team Yell, if they had multiple fan bases per se, they could have made like some kind of mechanic where you can strengthen or weaken them, and I don't know, they could do a lot more, like where you actually have to compete. Maybe build your own fan base or something.
Yeah, right. Having your own team, that'd be awesome.
Having your own team, yeah, exactly. So many missed opportunities. But anyway.
Well, if
What
they
about you,
just
Jess?
take more time to develop, which is my biggest thing with them.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's I feel like you guys have summed it up pretty well for me, where my biggest thing is that they're still doing it. Like, I don't want the gimmicky stuff. It's not what I go to
Right.
Pokemon for. I get it that if it
I just
was
want to buy one game.
Yeah, right.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I thought when the Arceus came out, that was I know it wasn't mainline, but it was Game Freak that did it, and
Yeah.
pretty heavily marketed as like a mainline
Why can't you
game,
just do
know?
this with all your games?
Yeah, and like I said,
Oh,
it
well, we
sold
know
well.
why. Because money.
Yeah,
Money.
but they wouldn't lose out on a ton of. I
No,
really don't think
probably
they'd lose
not.
out. Like yes, there's mega Pokemon fans who will buy both ones, but that does not make up like the majority of the people buying a Pokemon game. You know, it is casual players mostly. So I really don't think it would harm them that much in the long run. It would be a way better image for them. But I don't like the gimmick stuff. I don't like it when they make it a little bit more. It's like you said, there's like kids play this game as well. We play the game like if you grow up with it, if you suddenly decided that you like the mechanics of Pokemon. I don't think Terastalizing, whatever it's called, is a very good way of implementing that attack. Like if you are into the mechanical side of Pokemon, which to be fair to them has always been really strong. I feel like Game Freak's strongest abilities in my eyes has been their creature design. I mean, like what we've got thousands so far. Like yeah, they're stinkers, but like the vast majority of them are very like they find new ways to make them cute or make them look cool, and they have their evolutions. So I feel like that's been their strongest point, and the design from the design, like it's a really good game. You know, it's the great concept with Pokemon, and they did try and I know you both haven't played Arceus, but they did play around with some of the mechanics there. Like sleep and paralyze worked a bit differently, which you're like, what the hell? But you know, you get used to it. So yeah, they've done the sort of gimmicky stuff which I don't like. But my big thing is like with Arceus, it was like half open world, and like it's been vastly like this is a lot of people's problems with it. It's just like really empty. Like it looks empty. There's not a lot to do within even this step forward towards an open world. So I would absolutely hate it if this full open world was just filled with absolutely nothing to do. Or
I kind
like,
of, sorry.
no, go
I
ahead,
felt
Marc.
that a
Go.
bit with Sword and Shield even. I know they tried to make it like as if, you'd see other players zipping past on their bikes and they'd pop up where you can just get like items from them. But they tried to dress it up, but that like the wild area to me felt very flat and very like dull, boring, even in the DLCs. So I hope they make it better, especially going into an open world. But to be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really. That's maybe one of my biggest like skepticisms with the game. Like my biggest hang-ups, I think. How it like visually, how it's gonna look. Hopefully, not as bad as Arceus, because a lot of people complain about it.
Yeah. I just go ahead, Noah.
Yeah, I agree there as well. Like it just isn't really working with this. Like so far, it hasn't worked with this open world idea. It's just maybe it's just something about the franchise. Like it doesn't work as well as the Bethesda franchise for say does with this open world idea. But yeah, I'll give it a shot. They've improved. Like Legends Arceus was better than the Wild area, but yeah, and another thing I thought of is I didn't talk about the gyms not scaling. So So I commented on
that's
I commented on one of A Drive's videos with my YouTube account, and essentially like one line I used to sum it up was like, if they're not going to go the whole 9 yards, they shouldn't go a single yard. Like they're just half-assing this mechanic of wanting to like help, like you challenge them in any order. There's no point to that if they're not going to scale, because you have to beat them all anyway to get to the end. So so what's the point of making one harder on yourself when you could just go in order? Like it's a Game Freak thing, just always making sure to do everything a little bit wrong. Like the HMs, I referenced the HMs in this comment too. Like it took 7 generations for them to get rid of this stupid mechanic that adds this tedious, horrible thing to gameplay. And Game Freak just insists on these weird, bad things.
Yeah, I think as well as though they benefit off like it's me, I'm the problem. Like I will buy the game even if it is
there you go.
half trash, you know, and it's just like it
Well-
is the issue. If a significant amount of people stop playing the games with them when they're only making these incremental things, I feel like it would be like, oh crap, we need to take more time and put more effort into this. But I mean, realistically, I don't think they ever will. Pokemon is like, isn't it like the biggest franchise in the world? Like including
It is.
everything. Yeah.
But I think they still they're making more money off of Pokemon Go, I think, than they are off of the mainline RPGs.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people buy them because they're scared. Okay, if I stop buying this game, maybe they're going to stop making them because they'll just focus on Pokemon Go. They just won't make mainline Pokemon games. So I think a lot of people are worried about that.
Interesting point, actually. Yeah, I would not want that, even though I love Pokemon Go. I still want mainline Pokemon games. I just want them done a little bit better.
Well.
Yeah. So, any closing thoughts on Pokemon Scarlet or Violet before we wrap this up?
No.
On my side, no. I'm just curious to see what other information comes out in the months leading up to its release. And I'll just keep an open mind with it and hope for the best. And
no doubt we will be covering any more Pokemon Presents or big news
that
drops. Yep. So you'll be hearing more from me, Noah, and good Marc on this, Marc Huber.
Neutral Marc.
Neutral Marc. Sorry.
Haven't found the good one yet.
So that's just about going to wrap up episode 130 of the KeenGamer podcast. Be sure to give us 5 stars on Spotify, and we're now on Apple Podcasts, which is really cool. It just helps us bump up on the charts. So as Marc says, Evil Marc, more lovely people like yourself can listen to us and watch us and see my lovely blue background that I'm sure wasn't distracting at all. And stick to KeenGamer.com for lots of guides, reviews, news, previews. As we said, Marc's got a lot of V-Rising stuff, and Noah covers Pokemon and Bethesda and lots of things. And we also do entertainment as well, so it's not just video games. And Noah, where can people find you?
You can find my YouTube channel on YouTube. You can type in the Black Rose and maybe add the word Bethesda to help narrow down the search. You'll find a lovely burning rose, which I spent like a week creating, and that is me. I do videos about mainly Bethesda, some other things too.
Nice. Marc, what about you?
Well, of course, you can find me on KeenGamer. I have started a new Twitch account to stream V-Rising, and I'm using a lot of that footage to help write my guides, and I'm posting some of it on YouTube. So this new channel, it is twitch.tv/DireStray, DRIESTRAY. So I'm streaming V-Rising there, and talking about my guides and things, and feel free to check it out.
Awesome. I'll definitely be checking that out. And you can find me at ResiJessie on Twitter. And that's it for today.